Ontario Town Supervisor Frank Robusto has been criticized by members of the Wayne County Board of Supervisors. The Times of Wayne County outlined a number of missed meetings by the supervisor, who earns a salary of $53,000 from the town of Ontario and another $16,000 from the county. Board of Supervisors Chairman Steve Leroy said he was very concerned over the repeated absences. It was like a bunch of committee meetings that he missed, and I think he's missed a few general membership meetings as well. So the main concern from Leroy's perspective, I guess, is that because the town of Ontario is the second largest community in Wayne County and has the second largest weighted vote number, missing votes counts as an automatic no. And you know, if you have a vote that you're trying to get passed or that you want to see fail, a person who doesn't show up to a meeting consistently when they have the second highest number of weighted votes, that can make a difference. That can make a definite difference. But I thought it was interesting. They seemed to sort of glaze over the fact that, you know, he's essentially an absentee supervisor. And that part of it isn't as much of a big deal as, you know, some votes might not pass because he's an automatic no.
Right.
Really? That's me. And I understand the circumstances that through which he became town supervisor were far from ideal. He ran for town council, and after the then candidate for town supervisor won in an upset, defeating the person who had held the position before, he quit 3 days in.
Yes. Yep.
So through this sort of strange process, Supervisor Robusto is there. He was, and thrust into the position. He manages a realty firm, I believe. Obviously, has a career, has a life. Politics, if you're going to do it right, takes up a lot of that time, soaks up a lot of that professional and free time. And there again, we're talking about, you know, primary career, secondary career / politics.
Right.
Where do the two sit? You know.
Although I've got to say, you know, if you're making $53,000 plus another $16,000 for going to the meetings, you better go to the meetings. You know, Geneva City Councilors make $4,000 a year, and that's a lot of meetings, and that's a lot of responsibility. And you know, so by contrast, looking at the supervisor of the town of Ontario in Wayne County, that is the kind of thing that becomes your full-time job. And I've had this kind of feeling. I might write one of my columns about this, but I think we need to start thinking of elected officials as people that we are hiring to do a job. Like, it's not a popularity contest. It's not about just finding someone who thinks they're entitled to, you know, a position where they can tell everybody that they've got this and throw their weight around. I don't think it should just be for people who like hearing themselves talk. I think that government work should be for people who want to do government work. And I wonder if this guy runs for re-election, if he will be able to articulate to the residents of that community how his poor job performance is either going to change and they should rehire him, or makes him unqualified for that position, and therefore he's not going to waste their time anymore. And that, I think, if we could start empowering voters to understand, the people who are elected officials are not above you. You shouldn't feel when someone comes to the door that they're doing you a favor. Like, they are asking you for a job. They're asking you to entrust them with a set of responsibilities. And when they get in there, you got to keep reviewing them. Like, you're their supervisor. I think people don't get that. You know, you go to a city council meeting, and the way Geneva City Council at least treats the public, they don't seem to understand that the public is their boss, right? I mean, they feel like they get to lord over everybody. And I think in this case, the fact that this supervisor missed all these meetings, for me, the part in the story that jumped out is that he wouldn't respond to the questions about, are you coming to the meeting? Is there a reason you're missing? Is everything okay? That, to me, was the more troubling piece, because, again, this goes back to this idea that he doesn't have to answer to anybody. Like, he's in the position, now he gets to call the shots. And I think we've got to break people of accepting that way of thinking from elected officials, because they didn't win something that now they can do whatever they want. They were hired, and they better do the work.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that, but it's an interesting situation. But there is this scenario where, once elected, it's very difficult to enforce any kind of rule or otherwise on a person who holds that type of responsibility with the town.
Yeah.